we're standing in one of the best sounding and biggest recording rooms in the world. Countless scores for movies and TV shows have been recorded right here. We're at Synchron Stage in Vienna. How is it possible that this is recorded in Vienna and not in Hollywood?
Sometimes they're really flying in, so the whole production is coming to Vienna.
I loved working at the Synchron Stage because it really is an extraordinary place.
And we want to find out more about this incredible facility.
Here we have around 200 percussion instruments.
We want to learn today how a movie score gets recorded.
The orchestra comes in. Sometimes they just get the sheet music 1 hour before, or they just see the score when they're coming into the room.
What are some of the tools at your disposal that you're using to shape the sound?
Which microphone you put on which instrument, that's the most important sound decisions you make. I would say Louis is surprising me since last year, because when I had you the first time on an orchestra, I was very surprised how much pro you are.
We have Bernd Matzak here, technical director and senior audio engineer here at Synchron Stage.
Welcome to Synchron Stage Vienna. Thanks for joining. Let's have a look. This place was built in the 1940s of the last century. It was built to score film scores. So it is really the whole acoustic and everything was built to have a whole orchestra in one microphone. You can hear that because the room is very balanced. So even the low frequencies are really nicely balanced to the high frequencies, so without masking anything. The space is 480 square meters. The heights are from 10.5 meters to 12 meters, so even the ceiling is not completely parallel to the floor, and even the walls are not parallel.
Why are they not parallel?
It's just that you don't have standing waves, or something is overpowering other frequencies. So it's just that you have a nice diffused sound.
Maybe should we walk around a bit and you show us the setup, what is currently happening here?
At the moment we have, let's say, standard orchestral and choir setup. So in front of the choir we have the string section placed. Maybe we go over to the Decca-Tree microphone system. So here above the conductor's place, you can see the Decca-Tree system. This is our main room microphone systems. Then here we have the so-called outriggers. There I'm using the Tuluid 1040, just to have even a wider orchestral sound. And on the outside you have the high outriggers, which are very up to the ceiling, so it's about 7 meters, just to get a little bit more atmospheric and roomy sound of it. So this is the main room microphone system.
What are some of the kind of important requirements to the equipment for your work to be excellent?
For us, it's very important that the equipment is not noisy. So microphones are not humming, and we can rely on that every time we start recording.
You need all your mental capacity to focus on what's important, right? Not worry about technical stuff or being distracted by some humming that you didn't need to blend out.
And it's also that you are reliable for the score, you know?
We are kind of very, very proud of kind of building the quietest microphone out there, the RCT 540S. And you also use it. Can you say a little bit about your experience?
The microphone itself, it's sounding great. I would say Louis is surprising me since last year, because you were not on my table. Let's call it like this. And so I was very, very surprised. And with the 540 and the 1040, I was very surprised how much pro you are. When I had you the first time on an orchestra, I was really surprised and said, hey, wow, that's really cool. So, welcome to the percussion storage. Here we have around 200 percussion instruments. I think maybe we are the only ones which have 3 octaves of tuned cowbells. So if you want to have more cowbells, go for it.
When have they been used?
for sure we sampled it. And there were some compositions where we really had a melody played on cowbells. So yeah, sometimes you really need it.
So do the composers already know kind of what you have in your arsenal,
Yep.
and then specifically
They can go
put it
to
into the
our
composition?
website, and have a look what kind of percussion instruments we have. And what is also very, very helpful is we also sampled everything. So the composer can already compose with our samples, which are recorded in this hall. See how it is working. They most of the time have the original instrument, which will then be recorded already on their fingertips, and then we can go on and record it with the whole orchestra.
It's a very unique workflow you can offer here.
We can really offer a hybrid workflow, so recording, let's say, strings, brass and woodwinds, but you don't have the budget for the percussion player or the days for the percussion player. Then you can buy the percussion instruments from the Synchron Stage library, and there you go. So you're shot. Then you have a bass drum. So this was the percussion storage. We also have an elevator where we can bring in all the percussion stuff and bring it up to stage A. And we will go now to the other side of the elevator where we have our piano storage. So you can also bring the pianos with the elevator up to stage A.
Piano storage. That
Piano
sounds
storage. Yep.
impressive.
So this is our piano storage. What is very important in here is that we have the same climate circumstances than in stage A. It's connected. So if you want to tune the pianos, you can tune it down there, bring it to the elevator, bring it up and bring it into stage A. That's why all these pianos are on their platforms, so that you don't have to touch the piano itself when you're moving, so you don't destroy the tuning. Here we are also storing the keyboard of the cinema organ, which is upstairs in stage A. And if you have a closer look to it, you will see very funny effects. So there is one which is called telephone ringing. There is one called saxophone. There is one called Pferdegetrampel, and so on. So you really have an organ which had cinema effects. So you could do ringing a telephone when it was in the script. But often the cinema organs in scoring stages were used to play very low-end notes to get more depth into the orchestra. So they were always playing sub-basses. We're using today a lot of sub-basses to get more depth into orchestra or into compositions. And as there were no software for this, they had the organs in the original scoring stages.
Can you walk us through how a movie score is created?
So normally you have a composer which is composing to picture. This will take, depending on the project, let's say 1 to 2 years composing, orchestrating. Then the composer gives it to the orchestrator, and the orchestrator is giving the voices to the orchestra. So sometimes the composer is just composing on a piano, gives that to the orchestrator, and the orchestrator gives the different voices to the different sections in the orchestra. When this is all done, they're asking a stage like us if we can record the music for it. Then we are getting all the music, so the sheets for the musicians, all the scores and so on. And we, as the technical part, get the Pro Tools session. We are sending them a floor plan, how we would set up the orchestra, which microphones are on at which place. Sometimes then we have a discussion with the score mixer when he wants to have microphones on different places. And if this is everything done, then the orchestra comes in. Sometimes they just get the sheet music, let's say 1 hour before, or they just see the score when they're coming into the room. Then they sit down, we have a quick microphone check, and then they start playing.
Mm-hmm. So that must be an incredibly skilled orchestra that you walk in, this is music they have never heard before, and then 1 hour later they start recording?
Yeah, and they have to play to click, because you know in all the movie stuff it's always the time code is king. Then you have the click, so that if you're recording music and you're recording music in different places, everyone is on the complete same spot. So the musician see the music, to get the click in their headphones, and then they have to play. If you really have a good orchestra like our Synchron Stage Orchestra.
So this is your in-house orchestra?
This is our in-house orchestra, yes. We have a contractor. He has a core orchestra, which includes, let's say, 700 to 800 musicians. And there is a bigger orchestra where he has around, let's say, 2,000 telephone numbers from musicians. Because you also have to think that sometimes you have to get a whole orchestra, let's say a 100-piece orchestra, in 1 week. Because sometimes the time schedules are very tight, so you have to be very flexible and very fast.
Is this something specific to Synchron Stage, that you have your own kind of in-house orchestra, or is this like all these movie scoring studios operate?
I think what's very special at the Synchron Stage is that you can call and you say you need a 100-piece orchestra and we want to record. And you get everything from our side. So you get the conductor, you get the Pro Tools engineer, you get the audio engineer, you get the music prep team, and you get
a lot of instruments also that you have in here.
Yeah, if you need instruments as well. But it's some kind of, one-stop shop. You call and you get everything.
So how long does it take? You get a call from Disney, you want to record something. How long does it take for a project to be actually recorded?
That's very depending on the project. Sometimes 3 days to 1.5 years.
What's your favorite moment in a day where you record an orchestra?
I think it's always kind of the first cue, because right after the first cue, I think you're sitting there and you say, oh, sounding great. Will be an easy, good day for everyone. I think that's for me the most important thing going on.
Thank you very much for your time and showing us around. It's really a very special place you have here.
Yeah, thanks for visiting.